All right, as you can see, the authentication with Firebase is already up and running. If I click this sign in with Google, you'll see it will open the option to sign in via my Gmail. And if I just click this, let's say, it will take me to the homepage, which should be having this form about feedback form. So I want to build an app which collects feedback from my users. They can sign in and just dump their feedback and submit the feedback. And now once we already have the Firebase hooked up for authentication, we can also add the storage to it. It's very easy. And that's where I will just share the docs, which is already up there. It's still a work in progress, but it works pretty well. I'll just go through step by step. I'll jump onto my Firebase project here. If you see, the authentication is working. Now, if I go to sign in method, it has this enable. There's already another video which shows how to do this authentication stuff. It's very simple. If I go now to user, you will see there is one user out here, which is from my account. And the next part would be to add the Firestore database. If I click the Firestore database, you will see these are the options which will come up here, right? And this entire guide is written here in our Databutton's documentation part, working with Firestore database. You will find it here. And we will do this entire thing via our front end. We won't use the Python backend. You can do that as well. But I would really, really recommend to use the front end for building this. Okay, so I click this Firestore database, which is under the build section, and I hit create database. And my database should be in Europe because right now I'm in Europe. And I hit the next button here and I will start in production mode. It's very simple. So what it does is it creates secure rules for us, and then we are back in the production mode. You can also start from test mode and check it out, and then from there grow it. But we can directly start from the production mode. And if I go back to this documentation, it says that enable Firestore database in the Firebase console left sidebar, which we saw. We enable or create the database out here. Then there is a test mode versus production mode. You can choose the one which you like. I would start recommending to start with test mode if you are not so sure, but you can go with the production mode as well. And then you'll have security rules, which is very important. I'll show that as well. Okay, let me go back to Firestore. And as you can see, there is no data, no collection, nothing out here. Okay. And there is something called as rules, which comes automatically. There is an automatic rules out here. The first time I decided that's what got created. There's no data, no collection yet. If I now go back to here, and let's say I take one of the prompt example from here. Let's say this prompt, you can have your own data model structure which you have in mind. Fair enough. You can start from there if you have a structure or the database schema which you have in mind. Let's say you have a field collection called customer, and there you have to add fields like the name, email, phone number, sign up date, last login. All you can add for sure. Otherwise, you can ask Databutton to create a structure based on your app. That's also very easy. So I'll just copy. I copy this entire prompt from here. And now I come to Databutton. Okay, and I will just paste it here. While we run it, I'll just go through it. Hi there, I have set up Firestore data store and Firestore authentication over my Firebase project. Let's say this way, because we set it up over our Firebase project. And we already have the authentication as I showed you. It's very easy. You can check the other video. Please help me set up a Firestore database via the front end only. This part is very important. Via the front end only. And then I said suggest an optimal data structure for my project based on the current UI and app details. So based on this current UI, and it has pages, UI components based on this, I want it to suggest me a correct data format, because at times we don't know what it should be. But you can have a start, which Databutton can do it already. And if you don't know, you can suggest your own. Sorry, if you know already, you can suggest your own. If you don't know, go for this prompt. Provide a markdown representational structure, generate permissive security rules to allow access only for authenticated users. Don't write any code. Let's go through the database structure before discussing rules. Now hit this prompt to Databutton. Let's see what Databutton does from here. Now, Databutton is thinking. It has the app details and requirements, so it's an optimal faster structure for a feedback collection system. The app needs store feedback entries, and since we have authentication, we should also consider user profiles. We should structure it, allow easy querying of feedback by users, and efficient organization of feedback data. So it says this is a typical markdown structure. It came and it asks in the prompt, it's user ID, email string, all this thing. Then we have feedback where you collect the feedback as well. And you can see that it comes with the user ID as well. It has categories like all these things, detail, and the responses does not look that bad. Okay. So it has this thing. So user management with profile information, organize feedback entries with metadata, categorical system for better organization because that's what this submit feedback has, all these things you can see here, and response tracking for feedback session. Would you like to proceed with the structure, or would you prefer to make an adjustment before you implement the security rules? Let's go for the security rules. I asked for the security rules. Now you will see our security rules from Databutton. By the way, security rules can be very, let's say, simpler one where you don't need to go into this complication, or it can be a very critical one where you take into account each and everything. For instance, here it's not that strict security rules. If you see, it says for each and every, for response collection there's one security rules, for category there is security rule, for feedback there is security rules, for user there is security rules. You can also go for a very simple security rules, which typically looks something like this. For any authenticated user, just go for it. Okay, and you can honestly able to do that as well. But I think for this security rules looks great. I'll just copy these rules from here, and I will now go back to my database or Firestore database, and I here will paste this rule. It's very simple. Just go here, paste it, and hit the publish button. If you copied it correctly, it would work very smoothly. And once it's published, you will see the changes. So the first one which I created was at 2:04 p.m. Then it's at 2:09 p.m. That's where the next rule got published. Now I'll go back to data button, or I'll just go back to the docs section part and let's go through it. It says that we have to do this. We are done with this part. Test and confirm Firestore integration. Okay, so I have deployed this part of the prompt. Maybe I need that. I will tweak it a bit as well. So I just wrote here. I have deployed the suggested file security rules. Can you proceed for the implementation via the front end only? No, this is something which I'm mentioning that I want to do via front end only, not via backend. I don't want to make API calls. It's also possible to do via backend because Databutton has Python as the backend. But here, much more easier if we do via front end. So, can you proceed for implementation via the front end only? Also, could you provide step-by-step instruction to test, adding or retrieving data, blah, blah, and confirming access control for the authenticated users? I think we don't need this part. I would just go for this. Let's see if everyone can work on this part or not. Okay, I'll just go back to view. Feedback. It's now trying to implement it. We'll keep a look at this part of the code, okay? This part of the code is important. It says that let me help you implement this step by step. First, let's create a types and store. I will prepare a code and ask for your confirmation before making any changes. Here's what I propose. It says that we'll create a type.ts file, which we'll create here with all these details. These details needs to be updated here, okay? And we'll also create this interface, category, response, all this that would create. Also, it would do a store file if I just scroll a store file as well. And both of them, the store file, if you see, it's just now 29 lines of code, and this is 10 lines of code. Would you like me to proceed with creating these files? After that, we can implement. I think these files are already there. I'll double check and go for the implementation. So when I started this particular project, these files were already there, and that's why I say that it's already there. But just double check and update it if it's necessary, right? So let's see how Databutton does it now from here. It's reading the code because I said it's there. It sees that both of them are there. It's reading the code now. And it says that let me propose the changes. I will do blah, blah, blah. And this, it's kind of, usually it just goes for one stop there. But if you see in my previous prompt, I said don't write code. We'll wait for information first. So I think every time it checks with us, but you can just remove that part of the prompt and go for execution right away. But I prefer myself to always check what kind of code it will do. Yes, proceed. So it said add Firestore integration, keep existing functionalities, sorting, filtering, add new features, response, proper error handling, loading set. I just said proceed. And now it's writing code for us. You see, it's updating the types format. Hopefully, soon we'll have the types file, the utility files ready out there. You can see here, it's already there. And we will soon also have the store file if that's what it would work. I don't know. It's up to Databutton what it would work next. Okay, so it has made few changes and now let's update the store file. Now it's updating the store file as well. And I think in no time you'll see from 29 lines of code, it will just come to around, let's say, 50 or 80 lines of code, 50 more lines, because I saw it's a huge chunks of code out here. So it will add that as well. And the best part is Databutton is very precise in its implementation. It rarely makes mistakes. If it makes mistakes, it goes on fixing that as well. I'll just keep an eye on this console page as well, because that's something which we need to make sure that we check it if everything is working smoothly or not. And here you go. I think it's a lot of lines of code actually. And it did it one go right away. It updated the store file as well. Super cool. Looks like everything is in place. I don't know. Let's see if everything would work like that. So it says, let me know if you like to update existing component to use the new Firestore, add new components for handling responses, add loading or error states to the UI. Okay, all right, it's time to test. I'll just sign in first here. If you see, when I sign in, it will ask me to enter. And here you go. It should enter me and it should take me to this feedback form page. Let's see if it can take me there. Out there it goes. Next part would be to submit a feedback and test if our entire feedback works or not. I'll just quickly check it. So we have the store files and the types file that was created, right? And now I'll just say enter a title. Title is let's say Firebase authentication, which we already have now. I will ask you to take the video as well, but I'll just did that as a feedback, or I'll just say like other works like a charm, and I give 5 rating. Okay, and I hit the submit button. You just have a look out here. I hit the submit button, and there you go. The feedback is added, and it's added in this place where you see everything as one place, a few feedback place, but in the storage also. If you go back now, and I just hit the refresh button. Okay, maybe I'll just go back here and come here, but yeah, there you go. You have it, the category, the created ad, description, rating, everything. It's stored here, as well as it is fetched back here. If you see back here, it's fetched as well. So all data which is stored is taken back as well. We can submit another one. Let's say easy to integrate Superbase via Frontend. We have one tutorial in our docs. If you just go back here, Superbase documentation. This is the one which you have already, but this is via the backend. You can do via backend as well. And I think if you go through, it's written how to do it via backend. All this Python code, but we don't have it via frontend like we have it right now. Integrate also goes via frontend. I'll make a video on that as well, and I'll just put it as a feature. Maybe a docs feature would have been great, and it's high rating, and I submit the feedback. Hopefully, this will be stored as well. Ta-da! That's it. Super easy to do these stuffs, and it's very straightforward. I will again encourage everyone to check this documentation. First, you enable this entire thing, which is from your Firebase project site bar, where you see this build, Firestore database, everything. Once you have that part already, create your database, which is very simple. Take the create database thing, and once you have this part, you can create your own custom prompt, or you can ask Databutton to suggest what customization should be. And once you have that, you'll get security rules, which we got it from here. And remember, the security rules is very important. You can keep it as less complex as possible so that you can just take it, allow for every authenticated users, where Databutton gave me the structure of this file. And it also gave me the security rules out here. So you can just copy this, paste it here, and deploy it easily. That you can do. And the next part from there, you just ask Databutton to implement that via frontend here. Just via frontend. If you ask Databutton to implement, it will do it for you. Super simple. And when it does it, 2 things you have to keep in mind. The UI file, the stores, and the types. These are two things which you to keep in mind when it's making any changes. Databutton will do that, but if you need any change, we're going to debug it. Although, just keep in mind this UI files where it takes care of this the store, how it would store. For example, the get Firestore, the Firebase app, everything is happening in the front end. That's why these two utility files are super important. And the types file, how you define the types of it. Those are the two important stuff out there. Once you have that, you are ready to go. I have also jotted down few of the one prompt shot. Give it a try. It's something which is very important to understand before giving a try, but I found out this entire prompt, this master prompt for full integration, super useful. So you can give this as also a try if you don't want to go step by step. Everything, how you want to implement it, very easy, very straightforward. Once you have your authentication with your Firebase up and running here, it's super easy to integrate the Firestore database. Just give it a try, and I will make more videos with Superbase integration from the front end. Also, authentication via Superbase from the front end as well. Let me know how it goes. Cheers.